I've taught and heard the lesson of Jesus walking on the water, used it all different ways, every way from the guys being in the boat and how we've got to get out of the boat to keeping our eyes on Jesus, right? For Peter walking on water, and all these different ways that we can use that story. But there's something that I had never noticed until just the other day. And there's different ideas of why this is and even what it means. But I'm going to throw something at you today, and I want you to think about this. So before they set out to go to the other side of the lake, and Jesus tells the disciples, hey, you guys row over, y'all go to the other side of the lake and I'll meet you there. And he went up and he spent some time in prayer and some alone time, right, with God. And the disciples get in the boat, they start rowing, and you guys probably remember, should have only taken a couple hours. It took a couple hours and they should have already been there, but by late, mid-morning, or I should say middle of the night, by 3 o'clock in the morning or so, they're still rowing against the wind. The waves and the wind were so bad that they couldn't make it across in the time that they should have. And not all of the Gospels record this, but I believe it's Mark and John both say that Jesus was walking by. He meant to walk by them, not to actually stop. He meant to walk by them to the other side, and he was going to meet them on the other side, which is what he told them. And Matthew doesn't record that for whatever reason. But for whatever reason, Jesus sees that they're in trouble. They call out to him, and he comes over to help them. Now, he could have walked anywhere on that lake. He didn't have to walk by them where they were at. He didn't have to do what he did. All of the things that we assume about that story, it's kind of interesting because when you think about our lives, there are times when God has called us to something and told us, hey, I'm going to meet you on the other side. Hey, I'm going to meet you on the other side of that lake. And we go at it. And we get in the boat, and we're rowing, and we're rowing, and we're rowing, and we're rowing. Like, Jesus had somewhere to be. He had a divine appointment on the other side of the lake if you read the rest of that story. If you keep going and you read what happens when he gets on the other side of the lake, he had an appointment. He had somewhere he needed to go be. And yet, he stopped, got in the boat, calmed the storm, right, and then they rowed on over. And one version says they were immediately there. They were immediately on the other shore. Was it a miracle? And they just, poof, they were there? I don't know. It's kind of interesting, though, because there are times in life, I think some of us are planning or have been called to something. Specifically, maybe we've been called to start a ministry or go do something for the church or nonprofit or ministry that we're involved in, or maybe something for our family or whatever it is. We've been called to go do something. We've been told, hey, meet me on the other side. And we've sat out on the boat and we've rowed and we've rowed and we've rowed and we've rowed and we've rowed, and we don't have a whole lot of patience. And there are probably times when, I know for myself, I probably have turned and went back, or have just given up and just sat out there in the water, right? Trying to wait out the storm. When these guys were continuing to row against the wind and the waves. Where in your life are you seeing that? Where in your life are you finding yourself rowing against the wind and the waves and not making it to the other side the way you thought you should or would, or when you thought you would? When have you found yourself in that situation, and have you called out and asked for help from Jesus? That's what the disciples did. He stopped, walked over, Peter walked out to him. They thought they were seeing a ghost. He was going to pass by. It's the same exact terminology that was used in the Old Testament when God passed by Moses. Same exact wording. Kind of interesting, huh? He was going to pass by the boat. Now, there's different interpretations. There are people that think, there are commentaries out there, and people that think maybe it just meant that he was coming to the boat or whatever. I don't know. I think this might be the way that it was meant and it was written. He was going to meet them on the other side. They get stuck right out in the wind and the waves. He eventually walks by them close enough that they can see him. We know the story of Peter walking on water. He gets in the boat, calms the storm, and again, one version says, and immediately they were on the other shore. Again, he had a divine appointment to get on the other shore because he had somewhere to be and something to do. Look, it's October 1. We're in the last quarter of the year. I don't know what your 2024 plans were. I have no idea. I don't know if you had planned by this point to maybe be somewhere else, living somewhere else, a new house, a new home. I don't know. Maybe you were planning on doing something for your family or doing something in your career or your job or your business. Maybe you're going to start a business like digital storefronts or something else. Maybe you thought you'd be a lot further along than what you are this year. Maybe you're like the disciples in the boat and you've just been rowing and you feel like you're not getting anywhere. Can I just encourage you today? Can I encourage you to take the time to look? What if they didn't see him? What if he'd have just passed on by? Right? What if they didn't see him and they didn't call out to him? Would they still be rowing against the wind and the waves and he'd be sitting on the other shore waiting for them? I don't know. He chose to walk by them. He chose to be seen. They chose to call out and ask for help. The storm was calmed and they went on. So how about you? Are you going to continue to row against the wind and the waves? Or are you going to take the time, look, right? Look for where Jesus is, call out to him, and expect a miracle to happen? Are you going to expect to be able to walk on water? At least get out of the boat. Get out of the boat to where he is instead of just sitting in the boat and watching. Some of you need to be kicked out of the boat, maybe, or pushed out of the boat, right? Sometimes I know I've needed to be pushed out of the boat. I've needed to be pushed along. I've needed to be encouraged to get out of the boat, out into the waves, and out into whatever it is. Can I encourage you today? You've got 3 months here. Some of you had huge plans this year. Some of you had huge plans that, hey, this is what I'm going to be able to do. This is what I'm going to accomplish. All of that. And some of you have already given up. Some of you have already quit rowing. Some of you are already tired. And you're like, man, there's just no way by the end of the year. Who says there's no way? Who says there aren't other options? Who says there's not other possibilities or that there's not other who's that are in your life that could help you get there? Who says that there's not a way to get to whatever the money is that you wanted, or the travel, or the family thing, or the health, or I don't know, whatever it is. The new car that you were needing, or the house, or the new job, or maybe the income level that you wanted. Who says all of those things? Because guys, look, if the disciples had just given up and sat in the middle of the lake, they would have never made it to the other side and seen the other miracles that were happening. Peter would have never walked on water. Look at that story again. Look at where you're at in life. Let's make sure that we're looking for Jesus. Let's make sure that we're being aware of what's going on around us. Let's make sure that we're taking the opportunities to reach out and say, hey, I need help. I need help. I'm rowing against the wind and the waves and I'm not going anywhere and I feel stuck. I need help. Whatever that is in your life. And if you're looking at building a business or whatever it is, guys, man, we've got 3 months. Let's sprint. Let's don't just go a little bit. Let's go all the way. Let's go all in. Let's make sure that we're focused on the things that are going to truly make the difference in our businesses, our life, our family, our church, our ministries that we're involved in, all the things that we do with our time. It's real easy to get lulled into just rowing the boat and just being okay with the way it is. When the reality is we have all kinds of options. So the next time you look at that story, the next time you look at Peter walking on water and all those things, look back. Look back at the verses that talk about how Jesus said, hey, I'm going to meet you on the other side. He probably has already got something planned for you. There's a divine appointment somewhere for you. He's going to meet you on the other side. He may meet you in the middle of the lake just like he did them. But you've got to be looking. You've got to be aware. You've got to ask. You've got to be willing to step out of the boat. You got to be looking for the miracle to get to the other side instantly, right? It just says they were just there. I don't know where you're at today, but guys, look, man, Jesus wants to take you to the other side of that lake. He wants to get you to the goals, the things that he's called you to go do, the things that you've been put on this earth and given the unique abilities and gifts and all those things to go do. So what are you going to do with that today? And if you want, man, drop it in the comments. Drop in the comments what you feel like you're going to do in this last quarter. What are the things that you're going after? What are the things that you're going to accomplish? Be brave. Jump out there and say, look, I'm going to do this last 3 months. I'm going to set these massive goals. I know that Jesus is going to meet me on the other side. I know that he's going to help me through this. And let's see what we can do together. It wasn't just one guy in that boat rowing, right? It was all the disciples rowing in that boat. They were all together. They were all looking. They were all watching. They cried out for help. They got to the other side, and then they saw more miracles happen. So let's go expect some miracles in our lives. Let's go expect to see Jesus walking by on the water. Let's go get out of the boat. Let's go make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do to get to where we want to go. And let's go sprint for the end of the year. You guys have 3 full months right now. Let's go sprint for the end of the year, and let's go make it happen. There's so many things that we could go change in this world if we just got focused. If we just got focused. If we just focused on the big movers, the big things that are going to make a big, huge difference. All right, just wanted to share that with you today. I hope it helps you. You guys having a fantastic day. And again, post in the comments. Let me know, what are you trying to do in the next 3 months? What is this quarter going to look like? What are you going to try to do before the end of the year? I shouldn't even say try. What are you going to do by the end of the year? What are you going to accomplish by the end of the year? Get hyper focused. Say no to all the other stuff. And let's go see if we can walk on water. Let's go see if we can see some miracles. Let's go see if we can get to the other side of the boat immediately. Like the other side of the lake immediately. All right? See you guys later. I hope this blesses you. Drop a comment.